Do you have anything to add before we hear from Mr. Saagar Enjeti?
I haven't seen this yet. I'm excited to hear what Saagar has to say. He usually doesn't. I don't know if I've ever heard him weigh in on the Majority Report. Like, has he ever voiced an opinion on Sam/Emma on Breaking Points?
Not a ton. I think it's indicative of two things. One, in the preamble to this debate that we're going to watch, Krystal does reference Emma Vigeland directly and reads one of her tweets in support of Graham Platner. And then also, of course, everybody on Twitter last night was talking about Emma Vigeland and her take on the Graham Platner situation. So I imagine it was fresh on his brain. But Krystal does, in the moments leading up to this, mention a specific tweet from Emma, which is why he responds to it.
Okay, gotcha. I'm just saying, like, I think this might be a new one for us because we've covered almost every combination of like this person versus that person. I don't remember ever making a video like Saagar calls out Sam and or Emma of the Majority Report. That's a new combination.
Yeah. So buckle up, everybody. Here we go.
His Pod Save America interview. Here is my contention. I think Graham Platner is just your standard issue Brooklyn leftist. I used to think he was a hicklib, but here's the truth. This guy is listening to Majority Report. There's not a single real policy position out of step, let's say, with the Emma Vigeland podcast. So yeah, it makes sense that, and look, I don't want to zero in on her, but she really annoys me.
Why?
Because she came out with this post I saw recently, which is like, we need to be less censorious. We need to be more lecturing. And it's like, you're only saying that because you agree with the guy. Let's say that Graham or other populist young male candidates disagreed on the trans question. Would you really be so forgiving? Like, no, I don't think so.
Well, I actually think that Emma would have, come out and said that she disagrees with his position, but I don't think she would have thrown him under the bus if he'd made he did use like the F slur in old Reddit posts, and nobody is trying to hammer him for that. So I think that Saagar might be mildly misrepresenting Emma's take on that. But what do you think?
I think that he's punishing Emma for having the exact sort of evolution that he would want her to have, or that he wants people to have in general. Because I agree with you. I do think that Emma Vigeland, in addition to a lot of people on the left, since the most recent election, they have had a bit of a reckoning or realization that, like, all right, maybe it's time to pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe we have to be a little bit more, allowing for growth and maturity and grace, and maybe we shouldn't, dredge up stuff from people's past. So I actually do think that, yeah, if the one issue with Graham Platner is that he wasn't as lefty as we are on like trans people or whatever, I still actually do think that I don't think Emma would start to cancel him or like to throw him off the freaking plank. I genuinely, like, as you brought up, Dan Osborne is the perfect example of that. I'm almost sure that the Majority Report went pretty hard for Dan Osborne. Like, I don't know, maybe if they were as excited about him as they are about Graham Platner, but I'm pretty sure they covered him positively. And he's definitely even more culturally right-wing coded than Graham Platner is. Like, he had, kind of cringy right-wing coded opinions on the immigration and possibly trans people as well. I think police. So yeah, there's already proof that they will support, candidates that are aligned with their values, even if they're not 100% woke or whatever. So I just don't really get the,
Also, Maine is a lot closer to the Majority Report studio than Nebraska, right? You probably have a lot more overlap with people in the northeast coast than you would have stayed in the middle of America, and they still did cover Dan Osborne.
Yeah. Also, just like, I mean, I don't know. Why, if he's so upset with Emma, like, he should be celebrating that post from Emma, right? Like, don't you think, like, isn't she doing exactly what he's
kind of doing the Anna Kasparian, where he's just like imagining her like attacking a conservative for this, and so he's unable to allow himself to agree with her, even if he does. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, oh man, like, if this was some MAGA guy, you would be jumping down his throat. Like, I remember.
Yeah, but that's because they're. I mean, I see what you're saying,
but she does respond to that, and I don't know if I have the tweet handy, but I've read all of Emma's tweets last night, and she was like, oh yeah, my analysis would be different if this was a fascist guy running under a fascist party banner who said a lot of fascist shit. But when you read who he is, and when you listen to all the words that have come out of his mouth over the last half decade, when you dig up recent stuff with Graham Platner, it all sounds really big. So yeah, obviously, when I see a guy like Pete Hegseth with a fucking Iron Cross tattoo, I feel a little bit differently about it, because I know he got that shit on purpose, than a guy that got a fucking, pirate-esque Croatian tattoo, which I have just now learned is like a fucking totem comp for something like that, which again sounds Nazi coded, but if you just saw it as a little emblem on the wall, I could totally see you thinking it was pirate coded, and I believe Graham when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Or immigration.
Okay.
Or
these
pro
are-
Do you want to keep watching?
Oh yeah, is there more?
There's more, yeah.
life
yes,
or
but,
guns.
But you're
It's like-
actually so you're making my point. I think
Yeah.
Emma's point as well, right?
But no, but she's
hold
one of the people who scolds people.
Hold on. What do I care about?
Yeah.
I care about what does he stand for and what is he going to fight for today? Do I care about some stupid tattoo he got on shore leave? No.
Yeah.
Do I care about some Reddit posts when he was like going through, PTSD after his tours of duty? No. What do I care about?
It was 5 years ago.
I care about who is he now and what is he going to fight for today? And here's the other thing I care about. Okay, this is not in the vacuum. Who is his opponent?
Yeah, that's fair.
His opponent supports a genocide. His opponent vetoed a tax hike on wealthy people. His opponent opposed corporate tax hikes. His opponent is a creature of DC, backed by the DSCC, backed by Chuck Schumer. That's who his opponent is.
That's entirely fair.
So that's my binary choice.
Yeah.
There's no choice. Like, it's abundantly clear who I'm going to support in that situation. And so, with regard to the allegation that like, oh, well, you're forgiving of this Nazi tattoo, but you call other people Nazis. Yeah, because they're saying themselves in the present day that they are Nazis, Saagar.
No.
And they're implementing Nazi-esque policies. They are doing white nationalism. They are breaking, sweeping up American citizens, sending people to seek out with no due process.
And by the way, I thank you, Krystal, for articulating things better than my high ass can articulate. I was like, oh, yeah, thank you. Very well said. Perfect. Yeah. And by the way, I would be way more suspicious of Graham Platner's skull tattoo if in those Reddit troves there was like him being like, if there was a comment where he was like in some way at all sympathetic to Hitler, if he was like, maybe Nazi Germany wasn't so bad, and maybe the only reason we feel like the Nazis are so bad is because history is written by the winners, or some stupid shit like that, right?
Kanye had a point.
Kanye is really brave for burning bridges with all these companies in order to speak the truth. Like, if he had said some stupid shit like that, even something mildly questionable, I would look at the chess piece and be like, what the fuck? This is crazy. But we have to read the context clues, and we have to look at the other fucking information we have available. And that information suggests that he is an anti-fascist, that he's against the Nazis in every fucking way. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little more of this because Krystal's on a roll.
What do I care about? I care about the policy right now and who they are today in the present day.
Which is, by the way, the same logic of the binary of why a lot of people decided to vote for Trump in the first place, even though you accuse them of being Nazis, because mass deportation was Nazi shit. And then it's like every time there's a DHS post which says, what was it, like 14 letters or whatever, we have leftists dissecting it. I'm just saying, be consistent.
Do you deny that you have a Trump administration official, I can't remember what his particular title is,
Paul Ingrassia,
who literally was like, I have a Nazi streak. And then you see, the DHS posts that are like flirting with all of this like Nazi.
And Elon Musk Sieg hailing in front of a fucking audience of people, a live rally. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, Krystal's spitting.
I wouldn't even say the Twitter account she's talking about. I don't even say it's like dog whistling or anything. It's straight up Nazi shit. They're posting Nazi memes that say shit like join ICE, the enemy is at the border, and or the enemy is at the gates, and like all these like fucking Nazi fascist dog whistles. Like, it's not even at all. They're not even trying to be careful about it at this point. That's insane.
Symbology and whatever, calling for remigration, which again is just like, ethnic cleansing for white people. And we're supposed to hold our tongues about what we see. That is very different.
You don't have to hold your tongue on anything.
That is very different from someone's bad tattoo and a very long history of otherwise leftist posting.
Look,
and again, you don't even think that he's a Nazi.
I didn't say he's a Nazi.
Yeah. So
I'm pointing about
here?
intellectual consistency. About the fact is, look, be honest. JD is.
This is where it's like exactly the Anna Kasparian thing. He's pissed about the JD Vance stuff. He's pissed about how people that he knows are called Nazis. He's pissed that we'd make thumbnails where we call him a fascist. And that's what this all boils down to.
Yeah, he probably did see that.
About intellectual consistency. About the fact is, look, be honest. JD is a hypocrite because he called Trump Hitler. That was 8 years ago. Graham Platner was talking about black people not tipping about 10 years ago, roughly the same timeline, and then was talking about how white people are racist.
That is not the same thing at all. That was a kind of cringy Reddit comment, but comparing it to the complete turnaround from saying someone is Hitler to then less than 8 years later joining them on a fucking presidential ticket. I mean, that is insane. How could you not talk about that? Some random fucking awkward post from 2013 where Graham Platner was like asking about why black people don't tip. Who fucking cares, bro? It's some cringy Reddit comment. It is literally a cringy Reddit comment from a different era. Like,
yeah, 10 years ago, he was like, wow, fuck. Like, and again, like, I don't stand by that. That's not what I would put on my fucking Reddit page, right? But again, to act like that's comparable to then going on and being party and partisan to all of Donald Trump's crimes as president, like, it's just incomparable. Like, one is a hurtful stereotype that the guy inquired about. The other one is a literal fucking crime.
Yeah, and also one was said privately on fucking Reddit, and the other was said on like national television because JD Vance was like wanting everyone to take him seriously because he wrote some dog shit fucking book.
5 years ago when he was well into his 30s. You think that that's not objectionable? By the way, this is the other thing that just annoys the shit out of me. Graham Platner, I understand the working class aesthetic. He went to a $75,000 a year boarding school. Him and I went to the same college. Graham served in the Marines and in Blackwater.
So then why are you claiming to be a fucking populist, bro? Your whole show is based around populism, and you're saying you get to hold the populist mantle as someone who went to that fucking boarding school, but Graham Platner doesn't get to have populist policies because he went to that boarding school. So what are you saying, that you're a fucking establishment hack and an elitist fucking like mouthpiece? Is that what we're supposed to take from this?
Yeah. Are we the only two guys that get to have an opinion because we went to public school? Right. Fuck you then, Saagar. Guess what? The working class has weighed in. All right. I don't care that the guy, where did Saagar go? Like fucking Georgetown or something? Like, good.
Yeah, that's where Graham Platner went. That's why he was bartending in the area and why he bartended for Ryan Grimm, because Ryan Grimm was going to that bar and they were both living in DC.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I knew he had lived in DC. I didn't realize it was to attend Georgetown, but you know what I mean? Like, good for fucking him, man. I don't hate people that go to Georgetown. College is too fucking expensive. Oh, so you went to a school that was $75,000 a year. Maybe that was the boarding school, in which case that is fucking insane. His parents must be balling if they paid $75,000 a year. Like, but I don't give a shit, because what I really care about is the policies that are on his website, and I hope that he delivers on them.
Yeah.
Person who frankly, like, look at me, I'm a political nerd. He probably was the same. Mm-hmm. Do I really think that this is some authentic lobster fisherman? Like, not.
I'm a political nerd and I have fucking hand tattoos, and I was also a bartender, bro. What are you talking about?
Also, like, if lobster fisherman, he owns an oyster like he literally runs an oyster farm in Maine. No, he's not pretending to be like some schlup on a pirate on a boat out there like fishing for lobsters. Like, he's honest about what he does. Yeah. Like, no one's pretending he's not a business owning American who has a lobster farm. He'll say that. He'll talk about it. He's not hiding. He's not pretending to be some minimum wage worker.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. And so that's why I just think, wake up a little bit. I think he's a Brooklyn leftist. I guess that's fine. But I just think it's one of those where if he was genuine, we're talking about expanding the male vote or whatever. Mm-hmm. I just think everyone's going so hard for him because he's a pro-trans, pro-open border. I'm just like, yeah, okay, sure. Maybe it'll work in Maine. Where is the going to bat for a working class candidate, for example, or let's say even Osborne, who is much more conservative on the on cultural questions?
People did
Everybody did that, Saagar. What the fuck? You don't watch our show, I guess. Clearly,
I feel like Dan Osborne got just as much coverage as Graham Platner 100%. Is getting. The only reason Graham Platner is getting more coverage is because there's all these stupid scandals about his Reddit posts and stuff. That never happened for Dan Osborne, so people didn't have to come out here and like defend all this stupid bullshit. It was just like, oh yeah, Dan Osborne, I support him. Let's do a segment about him here or there, but it's not going to go viral because there's not this sexy scandalous angle to it that's getting Graham Platner all this play right now. So that's the only reason why. And also maybe the other reason why is because, like, I know Dan Osborne's running again right now. The reason why he's probably not getting as much fucking attention is because he already lost one. So now people feel like he's a loser and he has more to prove, and there's less to be excited about because people just think that's going to happen.
We were talking about him just a week ago, though. So you can't even make that critique of the Vanguard. We talked about how Dan Osborne is running again, not even that long ago.
Right. And I think we should talk about him. Like, I'm still excited about him, but I do think the fact that he lost once already makes people a little bit, it kind of dims that excitement that was more bright the first run, because now people, he lost. Kind of like how people paid less attention to Richard Ojeda after he lost the first time, and he ran again, and like way less people cared about him.
Although sometimes it's the other way around. Cori Bush lost the first time on the knockdown the House era, and then it was 2 years later she came back and won. So maybe
but no one thought she was going to win. Not even AOC endorsed her.
No.
It was
true.
crazy. It was a
was
huge
bummer.
upset.
It was a huge. I just mean sometimes it can't happen. It's
Oh, it can. That's why I was saying we should cover
Yeah.
Dan Osborne. I think he is a really good candidate. And again, he's proof that we're not like totally just all about the purity test. Like I'm still willing to admit that Dan Osborne 100% better than the alternatives. Is he also a Brooklyn leftist or like? Shut the fuck up, bro. Sorry. Like Brooklyn, what does that even mean? Like DSA left or something? Like just I have sound positions.
Saagar doesn't like you. That's what it means. Like, oh, you're the kind of guy that Saagar imagines we hang out with, and he hates that person.
Yeah, and I think a person like Graham Platner is proof that you can call it Brooklyn leftist all you want, but guess what? That's actually pretty popular with the fucking American people. As long as you have a palatable vibe. The thing that people don't like about Brooklyn leftism is the kind of cringy elitist vibe that is sometimes associated with it, I guess. But that's just kind of coastal elitism, period, right? It's not exclusive to Brooklyn. It's just what people have always said about coastal elitism. I think a guy like Graham Platner is literally proof. If you just take the ideas of the Brooklyn left and put them in the body of a normal ass looking and sounding American person, then actually most people are going to be like, sounds pretty good. I like that. I agree with that. So actually you're the one that's out of touch, Saagar. And Graham Platner is fucking proof of it, and he's going to be extra proof of it when he fucking wins.
Yep, just like Zoran's going to be extra proof of it when he fucking wins.
Yeah, a literal Brooklyn leftist.
Queens leftist.
Queens leftist, yeah.
Project have any future if they are going to disagree on those questions? Not really, because look at Seth Moulton. Seth Moulton said the thing about trans athletes in sports. I remember Emma attacking the shit out of him.
Well, here's here I'll attack Seth Moulton because the problem with him is that he's a corporate shill who just wants to use some counter signaling Sister Soldier on culture issue.
Well, it just came out on APAC.
On cultural issues. Yeah, but he doesn't break from them on what they actually want.
It's a separate question.
He's more smart enough to see where the wind is blowing. But this guy is a total corporate tool Democrat.
Okay.
He's the exact.
But that wasn't the critique, though. The critique was that he was quote throwing trans people under the bus.
That is correct, because it's very. But Saagar, it's very convenient if you do not want to confront Capitol to instead say, the real problem is our position on trans issues. Now, I'm not saying that there's no legitimacy to that perspective. What I'm saying is if all you're doing is saying corporate Dems forever, no confrontation with Capitol, status quo remains, pro-oligarch policies, but let's shit on some minority groups. That is a disaster. It's a disaster for winning people over. It's a disaster for the country. It is, so that's my issue with the Seth Moultons of the world. Now, I mean, Janet Mills is an interesting case too.
Yeah, she's pro-trans.
Because the fight that she picked with Trump was on the issue of specifically, there are literally 2 trans athletes in Maine. I looked it up. And that was, in fairness, he picked the fight with her, but she did stand up to him. I appreciate her willingness to stand up to him. But she is, someone who uses like cultural progressive issues to frame herself as a progressive. I don't want to be overly harsh because she's done some positive things in Maine as well. But she has also positioned herself as someone who is, pro-Israel, wants to veto any sort of like divestment bills in Maine, has stood lockstep with them, and has bucked any sort of attempt to lift taxes on the wealthiest and on corporations. She represents exactly what the party has been and has been a total and complete failure. So, yes, do I think Graham represents a better direction? Yes. And clearly the Democratic base is in a position now very different from where they were in the past, where they agree. They agree with the failures of the Janet Mills of the world. Her age is another issue. Like she's going to be in her 80s by the time this term is finished, whatever, all of that. So they actually agree, which is what is very different from the first Trump administration, from, the Biden, Bernie primary, all of that. And that is a sea change in and of itself.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of that per se. I guess as I'm like personally annoyed.
And that was the main meat and potatoes of what I wanted to react to. They continue to debate along those lines for another 10 minutes or so. People can check out the episode. But honestly, Krystal ate him the fuck up, bro. She left no crumbs. You can tell she's getting tired of Saagar's bullshit. And I also am proud of Krystal Ball for coming out here and standing in the fucking traffic for Graham Platner. She was like, no, fuck you. You cannot bully me. I don't care. This guy, the same people who want to throw away Graham Platner are the same people who constantly lecture about lesser of two evilisms. Is this guy, perfect? Absolutely not. But I think he can win in Maine, and he's going to have far, far, far more of our shared progressive values as a senator than anybody else, let alone Janet Mills or Susan fucking Collins. Are you kidding me? So it's a no-brainer. I was really, really ecstatic to see Krystal, Emma, the real leaders of the left come out here and be like, no, we're standing by Graham Platner. We're not going to throw him away because of this bad tattoo. And we're going to start a new chapter for the left, which is that one where we believe in people and that we believe in growth. And yeah, we're done with the cancel shit.
Yeah, 100%. And another reason why Graham Platner is beloved and popular and surging as far as his polling goes is because he's not just out here serving progressives, whatever that means. He's not just out here serving the Brooklyn left, whatever. He's actually running to fucking represent the people of Maine. He's not doing it in a cringy, ideological, partisan way. No, he's actually putting the fucking interests of his constituency first. And he talks about that in his promotional material. He talks about his experience as a business owner. He talks about, how the corporations are totally, making it impossible for small business owners like himself to operate and how they're destroying the environment in the process. Some of the most beautiful fucking nature in all of America, right? So that actually, people in Maine respond to that. They relate to it. They want to see candidates addressing issues that matter to them. Again, all Mainers, not just progressive ones. Like that's why he's going to fucking win. Because he actually is going to appeal to everyone, not just one club. And again, to not understand that, to call him a Brooklyn leftist, well, again, I guess that's a fucking point in the favor of Brooklyn leftism because he's gonna fucking win.
Yeah, 100%. And for anybody who's not clear what the picture looks like right now, a lot of you guys, I think I saw a super chat even saying like, we don't even have good polling on this. Well, actually, as of this morning, we do. We have really good polling on this. And while this doesn't include the news cycle of the tattoo, it does include the news cycle of all the Reddit posts and all the original controversies, right, up until October 21st. And just look at this polling, guys. This is first choice as of October, so we're looking at almost double this, actually more than double the support, right? If Janet Mills would have to double her support in order to even sniff what Graham Platner is pulling, 58 to 24%. And then you have guys like David Costello, Jordan Wood. I mean, people are like, why aren't you getting behind another leftist progressive in the Maine Senate race? There isn't one, homie. It is Graham Platner versus Janet Mills. And you only have 14% of the electorate saying that they're undecided.
Someone in our chat was saying, earlier in the show, they're saying, come on, guys, why are you having to support Graham Platner and acting like he's the only good option? What about Jordan Wood? This dude has 1%. I just realized that. No offense to whoever that person was, but yeah, no, that's not going to cut it, bro. Jordan Wood clearly is not cutting the mustard. This poll is so crazy, I almost don't believe it, Zach, because Janet Mills is the fucking sitting governor, 2-term governor, and Graham Platner is blowing her out of the water with over double the support in polling as a total no-name. This guy, literally no one knew who the fuck Graham Platner was. He wasn't even in state assembly like Zoran. He literally was shucking oysters on a fucking boat or whatever. Like, what the fuck? How is this possible? That is crazy. So if this poll is legit, that is genuinely mind-blowing. Even as strong of a candidate as Graham Platner is, to be over the current 2-term governor by double, again, that's almost too much for me to believe.
100%. And even if he does lose out on that entire 14% of undecided voters because they're like, the scandals, like, I don't know, I know Janet Mills, she was our governor, right? Even if he loses out on that 14% of the remaining undecided, hell, even if he gets the even if she gets a couple of percentage points from David Costello and Jordan Wood's group, which I don't think she will, given the fact that some people in our audience want the Jordan Wood guy to win. I imagine those people aren't going to go for Janet Mills. Okay, but let's say you give her that extra 17%, Gavin, all the other points on the board. Guess what? Graham Platner is still pulling ahead. He's still winning the primary. And so, to be honest, guys, they're gonna try and throw the book at him. They're gonna try and run ads. They're gonna try and convince you this guy is a Nazi when he is not. But what the reality is they want Janet Mills to be installed. They thought they were going to be able to. It will be a humiliation for her if she does get beat like this. So she'll be pissed off at the Chuck Schumers that convinced her to do it, at the AIPAC money lobbyists that convinced her to do it. They will spend. But I don't, unless this is a totally dog shit poll, which Gavin, you mentioned, it is tough to believe. We don't know after, the Ann Seltzer poll in Iowa, what to think about any of this stuff these days. But as one critical piece of information, it shows that people are really excited about Graham Platner and that they don't care about the Reddit scandal.
Yep. And again, all of this, bad press, it might just turn out to be press, right? As the saying goes. And he might actually benefit from all of it.
Yep.
Guys, he might actually straight up benefit from all of it. Because again, that would explain why he with zero name recognition, all of a sudden he's up double on the current 2-term governor. It would explain, because all of a sudden people found out who the fuck he was. They were reading these articles about all these things he said on Reddit and all this crap. And by the way, it is again, like, it's unfortunate as far as the tattoo situation, but he kind of handled it brilliantly and actually like getting in front of the Oppo research and just releasing it himself, apologizing for it, and getting it covered up the next day, which is something he, of course, then went on to share publicly with a local Maine outlet, like a newspaper or whatever. Because I feel like not enough people are talking about this, Zach, but we're still like a fucking year out from this election. Yeah. He has more, like, the people won't remember this. People will not be talking about this.
8 months until the primary, even.
Yeah, that's what, like, this will be fucking ancient history. We're going to be living in a whole different fucking universe 8 months from now. Are you kidding me? Trump's only even been president for like 9 months. Think about how much has happened. People are going to be like, are you, like, what? You want me to care about this stupid bullshit that was like a year's like news a year ago?
What? Oh, but Gavin, if you squint at it, it looks like a thing you've never heard of.
Yeah. But so it was perfect that he got in front of it. He released it when he did, because I bet you that they were going to hang on to that and drop it right before the fucking election. They were going to wait for it to get really as close as it could possibly get. And then literally like 2 weeks before the election, they were going to drop this bomb that Graham Platner has a Nazi tattoo, and then boom, it's over. But he's like, yeah, let me deal with this like 8 months before it's even going to matter, and no one will care by the time voting starts.
100%. And guys, I have to plead with you to be like, we have such a broad, overwhelming support of voices from every end of the progressive left, from Bernie Sanders, the top dog himself, to Krystal Ball, to Emma Vigeland in the Majority Report, right? Even Cenk Uygur is out here being like, guys, this is a horseshit
David Dole,
the Rational National. He's the Rational National, everyone.
I'll pull up his tweets
100%. And I'm glad to see it, right? Ryan Grimm did some of the best reporting possible on the Israel-Gaza, absolute fucking genocide. The slaughtering of those poor people, the fucking insane crimes that were conducted by the Israeli government and the IOF. That's Ryan Grimm. So we have it from all over the spectrum over here, right? And yeah, do you want to read this from David Dole? Great quote.
Yeah, he responded to a tweet and said, it's pretty simple. If you believe Graham Platner is a secret Nazi running as a Democrat, then don't support him. Otherwise, it's him or Janet Mills. Like any election, it's about the choice in front of you. Kamala Harris had many red flags between her and Trump. There wasn't a question, which is something that Zach and I were always crystal fucking clear about when it came to Kamala Harris, who, yeah, has a hell of a lot more red flags than Graham fucking Platner. The only real red flag with him is like this cringy tattoo that he should have got covered up, earlier, but he was too lazy to. Like, that's the whole scandal.
100%. And the two kinds of voices, and I know there are a lot of good faith criticisms from people in our chat and people who mean really well, but the two kinds of broadcasters that I've seen really try to hammer Graham Platner over this and try and hammer anybody who supports him are either the most corporate Democratic stooges like Destiny, who want a Janet Mills figure to win. They want somebody who's going to take AIPAC money. They want somebody who's going to support corporate America. They want somebody who's going to do whatever Chuck Schumer says. Those kinds of people have been very, very vocal about getting rid of Graham Platner. The other kind of person that I've seen be very vocal about getting rid of Graham Platner are the people who are going to tell you not to vote for Democrats at all. Yeah. The people who are going to tell you that the Democratic Party is a waste of time. The people who are going to try and, disenfranchise you completely or get you to support some bogus third party instead of an actual candidate who, yes, might disappoint you at times, but is also capable of bringing real change to their state. And the amount of power that a senator has, that's very crucial. It's very critical. So I would just say to anybody that is giving you this, oh, we have to run away from Graham Platner. Fuck this guy. He's a fraud. He's a secret Nazi. He's a snake. Okay, those are very often one of two kinds of people who love corporate power, people like Sex Pestany, okay, and two, people who are going to be like Bad Empanada, who don't want you to support the Democrats at all, who constantly take shits on people like AOC and pretend that she's our enemy. Those are not people you can trust either. I know there are good people out there who are deeply offended by what Graham Platner's tattoo stands for, and they, can't bring themselves to support him. But I'm saying, by and large, the people who are elevating these smears, the people who are saying, oh my God, we have to fucking be done with this guy and throw him in the trash, they're all people who don't want you to vote for Democrats anyway. And I think we have to consider that as part of their justification for pushing us to not support this guy.
Yeah. Or like you said, they support corporate Zionist candidates.
Yeah, which Destiny does. He wants somebody who is going to be hook, line, and sinker pro-Israel, which is why he wants Janet Mills to win.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.